Hello, trainers! Professor Palm here, and happy holidays, everyone! But since today is Christmas Eve, I know it's not Christmas yet. I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, all of you trainers. Everyone out there, I hope that for Christmas, you're going to have a wonderful day. I hope that you spend the day with your family, maybe by the fire, and of course, I hope you spend it opening presents and maybe even giving presents to other people. But whatever you do, make sure that your Christmas is a good one. Well, December really is the most wonderful time of the year. So, I'm curious to know from you trainers, are your stockings stuffed? Are your mistletoe hung? Are your Christmas trees up? What's going on with you? Oh, also, are your stocking stuffers filled? I know that mine are filled. Well, let's see what we got with inside this stocking stuffer. We have... oh, 2 Pokeballs. One from the Hisui region and one from... who knows what region it is. But it's pretty cool to see that we have a few gifts with us. Huh? Oh! My apologies, trainers. It appears that I've missed a gift, and it's... ha-ha! Look here! We have our little score bunny as our final gift. What a wonderful idea that somebody got us a little score bunny. After all, you do know that Score Bunny in its line is my favorite fire-type starter. Its Pokemon holds a very special place in my heart. And it's a good one to have. After all, it's going to be very, very cold outside. So, having this thing by my side will definitely keep me warm through a cold night. Well, Santa Claus comes tonight. I'm pretty sure we're going to see him flying in the sky with all of his Stantler. And of course, he's going to have some Delibird to help him deliver the presents. So yeah, this is going to be a wonderful night. I hope that all of you trainers are staying outside, watching the sky for Santa. I have to be honest, as much as we really do love Santa Claus and we want him to bring us gifts, that poor guy is so overwhelmed at this time of the year. Because if you really think about it, think how many presents he has to deliver in one night while we're all fast asleep. Like, it's crazy to think that one man has to do this. Well, at least he has a bunch of Delibird. But I do think that there is a problem, as Stantler, and of course with that one Wyrdeer he has, are fast Pokemon, but I don't think they're the fastest. So, if you were Santa, do you think that you'd want to go a little faster, or at least try to get home so you have a good rest? Well, trainers, I think that if we're going to pull a sleigh, I think that we're going to need some extreme power. Not just any power, horsepower! And yes, I think we're going to have to use legendary horses, not just any horses. We have to go back to the Crown Tundra and the Galar region and get ourselves the 2 strongest horses around. I'm of course talking about Glastrier and of course Spectrier. Yep, these Pokemon definitely mean horsepower. It's honestly a shame that both Glastrier and Spectrier were introduced so late in the Galar region. They are incredible horses, and like I've said many times before, I really do hope that we one day get an Alicorn as well as a Pegasus Pokemon. That would be incredible! Maybe we'll get them to be legendaries, or maybe not one day. But I have to say, the best part about Glastrier and Spectrier is they capture the most important thing about Christmas Eve, and that, of course, is nighttime snow. How many of you love watching the snowfall? But watching it at night is such an incredible thing. Oh, and I have to say, if you manage to ride either of these, then that is the greatest honor possible. After all, the only other person who's ever been able to ride them is, of course, the king Pokemon itself, Calyrex. Yep, these are some of the toughest horses to train as well as ride, but the moment you do, you'll feel like a mighty warrior. So, for the Christmas spirit, and since we're talking about getting through the sleigh with one night, maybe we should take a ride in a 2-horse open sleigh. So, I think we should talk all about these horses, but before we begin... Techranova, I'd like to give you a very special thanks for my shirt. This is the Ghost Fox Within shirt. Since we're talking about ghost type as well as being in the snow today, I thought this is the best shirt to wear. Also, are you a fan of the Hisuian Zorua and Zoroark line? Or did you just really love the Hisui region? Well, I would say you should definitely get this shirt if any of those things I asked are answered with a yes. Techranova is an incredible artist, and these designs she makes are the best. So please, give a very talented artist some good business. Don't buy a silly Stock Image t-shirt. While I may not be sponsored by her, I still want to say thank you so much for this shirt. It is one of the coolest designs you have ever made, Techronova. Well, Glastrier and Spectrier, we have a very long night ahead of us. After all, it's Christmas night, and you know how much Santa has to work. So, I hope that both of you can lead him everywhere he needs to and get this job done. I'm counting on you. And trainers, I think we should learn all about these incredible horses. So, let's start off with the ice rider itself, Glastrier. Glastrier, the wild horse Pokemon, is based off of unicorns, but it's also based off of constellations, being both the Horsehead Nebula and the Unicorn constellation. And since Glastrier is a very powerful warrior, it makes sense that both of these constellations border the mighty warrior itself, Orion. For Glastrier's diet, being a horse, it loves vegetables, especially carrots, but it has a real knack for eating ice fruit carrots. Remember, in the game, you have to plant one in order to attract Glastrier. So, if you want to attract one, make sure you have the ice fruit carrot on you. While it might be a very violent Pokemon, it becomes very docile as it cannot resist a delicious ice fruit carrot. Glastrier's eyes are sometimes white and sometimes they're silver. What's really cool about it is that whatever temperature it is, or if the snow's falling, that will be the color of Glastrier's eyes. While it has no visible pupils and it may look blind, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Glastrier has such incredible vision that this Pokemon can see what's coming over a mile away. Ever heard how tough icebergs can be? Well, Glastrier is the proof. After all, this Pokemon is an iceberg horse, and it has tremendous physical strength. Even a wall of thick steel can't stop it dead in its tracks. No matter how powerful an obstruction in Glastrier's path will be, this Pokemon passes through like it's nothing at all. Even water won't stop Glastrier. Just like Queen Elsa from Disney's Frozen, Glastrier can turn the water it steps on into ice, making it run across the water. Trust me, seeing this Pokemon run across the water, turning it into ice, is a beautiful sight to behold. As beautiful and amazing as Glastrier is, it's sadly a facade, as Glastrier is a rather hostile and brutal Pokemon, and it takes anything it wants by force. So yeah, if you have something and Glastrier wants it, it'll attack you until it gets it. So, unfortunately, as beautiful as it is, it's a Pokemon that only watches out for number one. If you happen to see Glastrier running, make sure that you're not in its way or jump out of the way, because the ice covering its hooves and face is 100 times harder than diamonds. If you get trampled by this thing, the only thing you'll be feeling is your bones crushing as it walks all over you. And also, please be careful if Glastrier kicks you. Don't think that you're going to be getting up from that, because this Pokemon packs a really mean kick. After all, you're being hit with something 100 times stronger than diamonds. I think your bones as well as internal organs will be turned to dust. If you were to pet a Glastrier, even if you had its trust, it's a terrible idea. Mainly because this Pokemon's body heat is in the negative degrees. Also, touching it will give you frostbite. And if you're not a friend of Glastrier and it doesn't trust you, forget about it. This Pokemon is going to attack and not hold anything back. Going into battle against the Glastrier is like going into battle against a blizzard. There's no way you can win. Also, with its ability of Chilling Neigh, it can be very handy. You see, when Glastrier knocks out a Pokemon by battle, it utters a battle cry or its Chilling Neigh. Doing this boosts its attack stat through the roof. Sadly, Glastrier has never appeared in the anime, but something that you should know is that in the games, Glastrier is the signature Pokemon of actually another Pokemon, being the king Pokemon, Calyrex. Yep, Calyrex likes to ride on Glastrier into battle. After all, this Pokemon has been by its side since the beginning of time. Oh, and something that you should know is, being a king Pokemon, a king can't ride into battle without its trusty steed. When looking at this Pokemon up close, you can really see how beautiful of a horse that Glastrier can be. Sadly, its beauty is mainly drowned out by its brutality and what it does to others. However, as you know, this was not the only horse that we're talking about today, and this wasn't the only horse ridden by the king Pokemon Calyrex. It also had another horse that it rode on into battle. Well, if you like being in the cold, it's time to go into a nightmare. That's right. We're going to go now onto our other horse, Spectrier. And trust me, looking at this Pokemon is equivalent to being in a nightmare. Spectrier, the swift horse Pokemon, is based on the Old English Black, which is an extinct horse breed that influenced the bloodline of the Shire horses, which is pretty interesting to look at. After all, it's a ghost type, giving it a real reason of why it has an extinct horse that it's representing. But this Pokemon also, well, in my opinion, always reminds me of Princess Luna or Nightmare Moon from My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. For Spectrier's diet, it enjoys eating vegetables. After all, it is a horse. But being a horse, it really loves carrots, but it has a fondness for a specific carrot known as the Shade Root carrot. After all, you have to plant this carrot in order to summon this Pokemon. And if you have that Shade Root carrot on you, this Pokemon will go from being a wild horse to an extremely docile horse, as it cannot get enough of those delicious Shade Root carrots. Spectrier probes its surroundings with all of its senses. Well, all of its senses except for one. If you look very carefully at Spectrier, you'll notice that this Pokemon doesn't seem to have a pair of eyes, or its eyes are so dark it looks like it's melted into its skin. Well, you see, trainers, Spectrier is blind. Unfortunately, Spectrier has been blind from its birth. It has never once seen the world. But don't worry, all of its other senses are great and what helped guide it. You see, Spectrier has a great sense of smell, fantastic hearing, a good touch, and of course, amazing taste buds. Even without its sight, it can do so much more. Spectrier are unfortunately nocturnal Pokemon, so they sleep in the day. Good luck trying to find it in the day, as that's not a possibility. However, seeing it at night is something so beautiful and something out of an enchanted dream. Seeing this Pokemon dash through the snow is a sight to behold, especially seeing that flowing mane and the tracks it leaves behind. Trust me, that is a sight you will never forget. Unfortunately, Spectrier has a very downside to it. While it's not brutal like Glastrier is, it unfortunately absorbs the life force of sleeping creatures. So yeah, this enchanted dream with a beautiful horse becomes a nightmare with a demon taking your life force from you. I guess Spectrier finally learned that it was stealing life force from a lot of people and Pokemon alike, because it's become a very antisocial Pokemon. It prefers to live in silence and solitude. This is another reason why it likes to come out at night, as nothing will disturb it and nothing will die when coming in contact with it. So, as beautiful as it is, it's going to be very hard to find, and it's also going to be very hard to look at without losing your life. Even though Spectrier is blind, you can never sneak up on this Pokemon, because it has incredible hearing. But if you startle this Pokemon, be very careful. Spectrier's hooves and legs are so powerful that it's been said that if you get kicked by it, just like Dr. Stephen Strange and Peter Parker were, you will be separated from your body. Yep, your soul will be kicked out of its body. So please be wary of this Pokemon and try not to scare it. I thought I'd give you a little fun fact. Well, here it is. Spectrier is currently the only pure Ghost-type Pokemon to have no evolutionary relatives. Oh, and if you didn't know, before we knew about Hisuian Zorua and Hisuian Zoroark, Spectrier was the very first, and at that point, only mammal that was a Ghost Pokemon. When in battle, you'll know what the meaning of a nightmare is when you take on Spectrier, because just looking at this Pokemon not only makes me think of Nightmare Moon, but it already looks like a nightmare. It's so fast, and it hides so well that you'll swear Spectrier could even be hiding within your shadow. Oh, and with its ability of Grim Neigh, it makes you fear death and even makes you think the Grim Reaper is coming. When Spectrier knocks out a target, it utters its battle cry, which is a terrifying neigh that not only fills your body with dread, but also powers up its special attacks. Sadly, along with Glastrier, Spectrier has never appeared in the anime, but in the games, surprisingly, Spectrier is the signature Pokemon, not of any trainer, but of the king Pokemon itself, Calyrex. Calyrex will ride this Pokemon into battle, and I would have to say, as a loyal steed it's definitely a perfect Pokemon to ride into battle at night. After all, since it's so fast and it's so hard to see at night, your opponent will never see what's coming at them. It's a good thing that Glastrier has a lot of physical and brute strength. Because it's an Ice-type Pokemon, it has a lot of weaknesses. So if you're going to battle with this Pokemon, please be careful and make sure you don't battle Pokemon that are fighting, rock, fire, and of course, every Ice-type weakness, steel. Wow, that's a lot of weaknesses. 4. But does it make up for it in strengths? Well, to tell you the truth, yes it does. We did say that Glastrier does use a lot of brute strength and is a very physically strong Pokemon, but in battle, it's a very dangerous Pokemon to use. So if you're going to fight with it, make sure it battles Dragon, Grass, Ground, and Flying. Yep, with 4 strengths and 4 weaknesses, Glastrier has an even split. Trust me, this Pokemon is going to be a brutal attacker, and it will never stop. Spectrier may not be as strong as Glastrier is, but something interesting about it is it has a few weaknesses. Not as many as Glastrier does, but it also has a lot of good things that go with it. But if we're going to talk about weaknesses, don't use it in battle against Ghost and Dark. Wow, only 2 weaknesses. That's pretty good. But let's see what happens when it goes to strengths and see what its strengths are. For Spectrier's strengths, it actually has very few, but about the exact same it had from the beginning. When you're battling with a Spectrier, make sure you take on Pokemon that are Psychic, and of course, Ghost. Yep, just like Dragon, Ghost is strong as well as weak to itself. But this is not the end for Spectrier. Actually, it has immunities, being that it is a Ghost-type Pokemon. So, let's see what this Pokemon is immune to. As we all know, some Pokemon have immunities, but Spectrier, being a Ghost type, is a very special case. It's the only single type that has 2 immunities, so in battle, you can never hurt Spectrier with moves that are Fighting and Normal. While Spectrier isn't as strong as Glastrier, it definitely has an even split, with 2 weaknesses, 2 strengths, and of course, 2 weaknesses. Both Glastrier and Spectrier can be ridden by the king Pokemon itself, Calyrex. And trust me, when you see this Pokemon fight, it is like watching a warrior charge into battle. Well, in this case, it's the king charging into battle. After all, kings oftentimes send people to fight for them, but instead, Calyrex is the one that says, nope, me and my horses are a team, and we're gonna go face whatever lies ahead. Have you ever been told not to judge a book by its cover? Well, it's very true, because just looking at Glastrier and Spectrier, you would see the exact opposite of both of them. With Spectrier, you would think that this is the violent Pokemon, and with Glastrier, you would think this is the very calm, cool, and collected one, when that's the exact opposite of both of them. Also, Spectrier looks like it's the Pokemon that will haunt your dreams, take your soul, and do horrible things, but it's actually a very calm Pokemon that likes to live in solitude. Glastrier, on the other hand, is the violent one that'll attack and take anything it wants by force. It's also kind of ironic that both of them, with their looks, have the different stats. Spectrier has the higher special attack, while Glastrier has the higher attack stat. While Glastrier and Spectrier can be very hard to train, I will say one thing though, the moment you earn their trust, they will be by your side for all times. After all, horses are very loyal creatures. And hey, if you ever have to ride into battle, why not ride on one of these incredible horses? You'll finally feel like a knight in shining armor or a great mighty warrior going into battle. On an interesting note, with most duos, you usually find out that they're either a brother or sister duo. But with Glastrier and Spectrier, we actually don't really know the relationship between these Pokemon. Are they actually family, or are they rivals competing for the king's affection? Who knows? Having both of these horses on your team, you know that you're going to unlock some incredible powers from both of them. Well, I'm happy to say, having both Spectrier and Glastrier on your team, you've got horsepower! Okay, I'm really sorry for the lame joke, but to be fair, with their incredible strength as well as their incredible powers, you have a duo unlike any other. As I like to call it, a frostbite of terror. Well, one good thing to know about Glastrier and Spectrier is that they're very fast horses. So, if you need to get anywhere, just put a sleigh on the backs of them and watch as they take off through the snow. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a 2-horse open sleigh. Hey! Oh, hello trainers. Welcome back. As you could see, I was freezing. I was really, really cold. I just needed my Score Bunny to warm me up. After all, we finally are getting ourselves the snow, but you know how cold it gets outside and we need something to keep warm. Well, I hope that all of you bundle up and stay warm. And hey, if you want to go outside and play in the snow, feel free to do that and promise me that you'll play with some Snover. They love to play with children. But I'm also curious to hear from you, trainers. Do you really like this horse duo? Also, which one's your favorite of them, or do you like them both? Also, did you learn something new that you never knew about these horses? Well, if you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If you have any questions out there, you want to answer any of the questions I propose to you, or you want me to cover another line eventually, please comment. And as always, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, smash that subscribe button. Once again, trainers, happy holidays, but most of all, Merry Christmas, everybody. I wish you a wonderful holiday, and I also hope that everything goes your way and you spend time with your family. Do whatever you want this Christmas or any of the holidays. Today is all about family and also about you. So, thanks for watching. Palm out!